Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, and happy election announcement day +1 to everybody in the UK. We are recording this the day after an election was announced and everybody immediately went crazy. My name is Tosin and I am joining you in a place called Bromsgrove in the middle of the country, and joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Bollen.
Hello.
And joining me from London in a place that I would imagine is being racked with election frenzy, it's Holly Neslane, our London correspondent.
Hello.
Yes. So the announcement has done, people have gone crazy, and it has started affecting our lives in all sorts of weird ways.
Yep. I suspect it shall continue.
It shall continue to do.
A couple of months of fun ahead of us, haven't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Now, for those of you, who might be tuning on to us for the first time, what we do on this show is we go to the cinema each week. We see a couple of things, rate them out of 5. We stay at home, we watch a couple of things, rate them out of 5, and then we put them up against each other, see where our money has been better spent this week. Where has it been Netflix or has it been cinema? So, let us kick off with our customary question: what did you see in the cinema this week?
Nothing.
And I saw The Fall Guy and Back to Black on Monday.
Yes, two things we have previously reviewed because... Exactly. And for those of you who might listen to us regularly, you might realize that this means only one thing, which is that Sean Harris is on holiday, because Sean is our cinema beast mode guy who hoovers up everything that is new in the cinema, and he decided to go to Thailand and
he does all the heavy lifting with the cinema.
Have a holiday. But coming to our rescue is the fact that I think we are actually beginning. I was telling Sharon before you came onto the call that I'm actually beginning to feel like, a proper film outlet, because we are getting more and more requests of whether we would like to preview films. And there's a film being released in the cinema tomorrow that we actually got a preview screening. So technically speaking, I have something for the cinema side of things. So by the time you're listening to this, the earliest you'll be listening to this will be either late Thursday night, the 23rd of May, or early Friday morning, the 24th of May, and we will be talking about a film that is going to be released on the 24th of May. You're welcome. This feels like proper. This feels like professional. Yeah, I feel like I should wear a suit or something. But
Max has come to join in because he feels this is very important as well.
Max, this is for those of you who are listening. This is Holly's cat. What kind of cat is Max?
He and his sister are both half Norwegian, part Norwegian forest cat, part domestic short hair, which I believe is the technical term for moggy.
Okay, domestic short hair Norwegian forest cat.
Yeah, which is why they are so big.
Okay.
Though we can be very proud of them, as they have both managed to lose weight this year. They have both lost 600 grams each.
Nice.
Okay, as a non-pet
weight for a cat.
Yeah, they were 6.5 kilos, so they've made it down to 5.9 each. Haven't you, good boy?
You see, now this is the thing. As a non-cat owner and a not-pet owner, in my head, I'm just thinking, doesn't that mean you've just been starving them?
Diet food.
Diet food. All right.
They are going to become slightly trimmer cats. The vet would like Callie to weigh less than 4 kilos, which is
that's quite a lot to lose.
Okay, you see, growing up in Nigeria, pet care was a whole different ballgame. But we shall not get into that. So in cinema this week, I will be talking about The Present, which we have got a preview link for. Oh, look at us. Oh, I feel so bougie. So The Present, we can have like a report back on The Fall Guy and on Back to Black, because we have reviewed those already. But seeing as we have nothing else in cinema... Since we have nothing else in cinema until tomorrow, when Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, I think that's actually released tonight. I think that's in cinemas tonight. Even though Sean is in Thailand and he's already seen it. I thought this had changed. I thought that they, the whole different bits of the world get like a big, massive blockbuster before anywhere else. I thought that had changed. I thought that with Marvel, we started having concurrent releases where everything gets released everywhere at the same time. But nope, Sean is ahead of us in time and apparently ahead of us in cinema releases in Thailand. All right, cool. Let's go into the Netflix and Friends side of things. What have we seen at home this week?
Well, I have seen the first part of Bridgerton season 3, but as is our
Ooh.
custom, we normally wait until the whole season has been released. So
Yes,
I am
but
going to.
that
Oh,
that is true. That is true. But I don't blame you. I blame Netflix for this. This is a bit like
yes.
this is a bit like Quentin Tarantino releasing Kill Bill and then releasing them in Volume 1 and Volume 2. And it will be similar to us saying, well, we're not going to review Volume 1 until Volume 2 is out. And I think, no, Netflix, you've messed up. That is Season 3, and then what you're going to release later is going to be Season 4. So, but you just trying to call it Part 1 or Part 2. So I think it's fine. I think it's fair game to talk about Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1.
Yep. So I have seen that, and I have also seen a film that has been dancing around on my to watch list for a little while, and it's called Eight for Silver,
Okay.
on Netflix as well, which I know Holly has seen as well.
So I have previously seen Eight for Silver and would be delighted to stick my nose in occasionally, though my memory is obviously a little rustier.
Okay.
Um, and I have seen much, but not all of Bridgerton 3 Part 1, enough to be able to stick unhelpful thoughts in. Uh, and I've seen bits of all sorts of things, but it's been a lot of a rewatchy sort of week. So
Okay.
I've realised that I haven't, even though I thought I hadn't seen all of the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings films, and the Hobbit films. So I've been watching the extended editions of those.
That's
In
a
my
lot of
head,
viewing.
Okay.
I
So
know.
on a previous show, we spoke about the fact that Peter Jackson just keeps adding things and then probably just sort of like adds a little bit and then uploads it. Adds a little bit and uploads it. So you're like,
Yes.
ooh, I've never seen this 7-hour cut of The Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, man. Last time
So
I'm pretty sure it was only 3 hours yesterday.
So now I have seen years worth of Peter Jackson. I haven't quite made it to the end of the Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies.
Okay.
Towards the end, but I felt I needed to take a break and have a lie down. I
Okay.
felt sensible decision.
On that note, this year, when in a couple of weeks actually, it would have. My dad is no longer with us, sadly, but it would have been his 11th birthday in 3 weeks.
Happy
So
early 11th birthday to your dad.
yes, so he's in
Yes.
heaven, but we can still celebrate what would have been his 11th birthday
Yeah.
And
as a
from the
nod
thing,
to.
yeah,
Much.
from the things you've said about your dad, he does sound like he would like the. I might be building a totally wrong impression of him, but he does sound like he would pretty much like a Hobbit lifestyle.
Oh yeah, that's probably dad. Yeah, gardening, eating, enjoying life. He did all his adventuring when he was younger, like
Well,
he,
like
yeah,
Bilbo.
like Bilbo. Yeah, he did all his adventuring. Then he settled down to a Shire life, which was my dad.
Okay, all right, cool. So, let us, in that case, all right, then in that case, I will talk about Constellation. I saw Constellation on Apple TV Plus, and I will add that to the list. But let us kick off. Let us kick off. Seeing as Strike Media was so great and so gracious to present us with a previous screen to the present, let us start there because this is the big thing, new thing that's going to be in cinemas next week. We usually start with the cinema thing. So I have just finished watching this just before I came onto the call, and The Present is a film that kicks off, and you are in a home. There's like, you see this kid who's in the basement in the house, and he has an iPad with him, and he starts off with an Etch-a-Sketch. He has an Etch-a-Sketch, and he's sort of drawing something. I can see that he has this thing where it's like almost this sort of string diagram that has like morning, afternoon, this, everything like that. Then he takes it, walks upstairs to the table where he sits down with his family, his older sister, older brother, and his mom and dad. And the mom and dad sit them down. The mom and dad, played by Isla Fisher and Greg Kinnear. The mom and dad sit them down and they go, "Kids, we have something to tell you." Now, if you've watched any films, when you have a dinner that mom and dad have decided all the kids are supposed to come to, and this has never happened to me in life, but I've learned from it. I've learned it through films. When you have a thing where mom and dad sit you down and go, "Kids, we have something to tell you," it's never good, and in film speak, it's only ever one thing.
You all adopted?
Well, that would be a twist. That would be a twist. That would be a twist of the formula. So the parents say, "Kids, we have something to tell you." your mom, yeah, your dad and I are gonna getting separated. Just a trial separation. There's no divorce. It's not gonna be forever. Just trial separation. The kid who you see first runs out of the room. You don't see him. The older kids are arguing with the parents about how can you do this to us, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, everything starts happening in reverse. Everything starts sort of like going backwards, and everything sort of just sort of like, like everybody sort of like sped up backwards, and it goes back to the morning, and then it kicks off. It kicks off again, and it transpires that the kid that you first meet, Taylor, he's the youngest kid of this family. He's a non-verbal child, so he communicates through using an iPad and everything like that, and using voice filters like Barack Obama and Optimus Prime and all that kind of. And he is downstairs with this grandfather clock. They have a grandfather clock that's been given to them that belonged to their grandfather, but it turns out that it's actually a magic clock and can turn back time. So what turns out into this film is like a Groundhog Day type scenario where this kid, the youngest kid in the family, who is obviously neurodiverse, he doesn't like to be touched, he doesn't like to be touched, he doesn't speak, he communicates through an iPad and everything, doesn't like change, decides that this is wrong, my parents need to stay together, he's found out that this clock can turn back time, and so he keeps reliving the same day over and over and over again to try and keep his parents together. Then he realizes after a while, like he says, okay, fine, so what I need to do is on this day, dad goes there, mom goes there, I can't do this myself. So he brings his sister in and says, you need to help me because mom and dad are going to. Then she gets in on it, and then eventually they bring. So it eventually ends up being this sort of caper thing, caper Groundhog Day, where these three kids are running around, reliving the same day over and over again, trying to keep their parents together. That is the basic premise of the film. And essentially, when this film kicks off and you see the family at the dining table and you hear mom, kids, your mom and I have something to tell you, my dad and I have something to tell you, we're going to get a divorce. I look at this film and I go, okay, this film can only ever be a 3-star. So it's because it has that sheen to it. It has that kind of like there's a bit of me that's surprised that this film was coming out in cinemas, because this is the kind of film like, like The Family Plan or Instant Family or something like that that streaming platforms are eating up at the moment. Streaming platforms seem to be making a concerted effort to make this kind of film to become the natural home for this kind of film. So I'm looking at going, okay, I kind of think I know where this is going. It's like when you see a rom-com, you kind of know, you think you know where it's going. It's wholesome family film. Family at the beginning, they're gonna break apart. There's probably going to be scenes where they sort of like, oh yeah, we're going to get together, and oh, well, we're going to remember why we loved each other in the first place, and all that. And it doesn't disappoint. It doesn't disappoint in that it does what you think it will do, without many deviations along the way. Sharon, looked like you were about to say something.
I was going to say, it used to be that Amazon Prime was the home of the time slip film, and I think
Yes.
you had seen more than one.
Yes.
So I was thinking, hey,
Yeah.
why was this not on Amazon
Yes,
Prime?
yes, I remember.
Yeah.
It's like
The
Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, you missed one. You missed one because I remember there was a 2-week period in which we had Palm Springs and the map of tiny pretty things, or the map of tiny perfect things. I think it was that came out within weeks of each other. The time slips, rom-com. I was like, oh, I got to say, what's going on here? The Netflix had See You Yesterday. Which was See Yesterday is probably the best out of them for my money, and so
My
this
brain just went somewhere completely different when the title started and thought, well, that sounds like it's going to be very rude, doesn't it?
what See You Yesterday.
Yes, I didn't think the third word was going to be yesterday.
We'll talk about that later. So yeah, I kind of thought this film, the most it can be is going to be a 3, because I think it's going to be family comedy where you have like a couple of good name stars doing something. Is the whole point of it is to be wholesome and to make you reaffirm the good things about life, and that's what it does. To begin with, I found it quite engaging in the first half an hour or so, but then after a while, because they keep rewinding the same day and they're going back to the beginning, but each time they go back to the beginning, they show it from a different person's perspective, it started to wear a bit, and I was like, oh, okay, come on, look, we know this is going to end, get there quicker. And so much so that some of the I think there's a bit where they have a montage of them going over and over again, but that happens towards the end, and some of the funniest moments, like the one laugh out loud moment that I had happen at the end of the film had to do with, because they live the same day over and over again, they think, you know what's going to make our parents stay together? Money. And so they go do a whole bunch of day trading so they can make a whole bunch of... And it's, and there's funny bits in it and everything like that. I think it is distracting enough. I guess half term is coming up next week, so that's the kind of time where people will probably go see a family movie. You won't be disappointed. It's what you'll expect. It's a 3. It's a 3, probably a 3- for me. But I think it's distracting enough. Go watch it. I find it hard to think that the whole family will go to the cinema to watch this, though, especially with how much cinema tickets cost now. But anyway, as I was telling you earlier, Sharon, I do not understand I don't understand cinema anymore. I don't understand the business model anymore. I don't understand how they decide to release things to cinema or to go to streaming. I just don't understand it anymore. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, if there's
it doesn't make sense, I tell you. Nothing makes sense anymore.
No. And then films that appear at the cinema, there seems to be sort of no advertising, no trailers, no publicity, not a thing. And then they're there, and then it's like, why did no one go to see our film? Because we didn't know anything about your film.
Yeah, like for instance, this film, the first I heard of it was when I received the email from the media company saying, would you like to review this? I was like, never heard of this before. Hang on a second. Isla Fisher, Greg Kinnear, I know those people. Yeah. Why did I not know that this film is actually coming out? Why is it not? But it's, I don't understand. I feel... to be honest with you, I feel like Hollywood probably doesn't understand either and is scrabbling around quickly trying to figure out how can we guarantee a hit, but I don't know. But I do feel like star power is beginning to become less and less of a thing.
Yes,
I think quite noticeably, actually.
That is on the wane, yes. Because at one time it used to be, if a certain actor or actress or a non-gender specific term performer was in a film, you would think, oh, I'll go see it because they're in it. I don't know that there are that many people out there now who have that sort of pulling power.
No, and you're more likely to see them in streaming things than you would have been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, because TV has become a lot more prestigious.
So you could well find somebody whom you think of as a big name pull, and they're going to be on an 8-part TV series.
Yeah.
So the dynamic is all.
I remember the first time that happened was when Glenn Close showed up in Damages, and
yes, I love Damages.
The Glenn Close showed up in Damages, and you were like, "Hang on a second, but she has Oscars. She's a film star. She has Oscars. She could have another Oscar next year. Why is she on TV?" And I remember that happened, but it is the case anyway. So that's 3 stars on the. As we said, 3 is a very wide band. We'll put it probably on the so like 3- side of things for the present, but good family comedy. And now we are going to go over to Netflix and Friends, Netflix specifically, and this time we're going to talk about Bridgerton, season 3, part 1, whatever. It's a season 3.
Bridgerton thingy.
Yeah, the Bridgerton thingy, and let us. Bridgerton, which I think they need to start making them quick before everybody ages out.
Because it's been a while since season 2 to season 3, and they had a release date at Christmas time or New Year, and then it got bounced back again. And now
probably because of the strikes, yeah.
So a lot of it is just like, you know what? I think in some ways, with something like Bridgerton, you've got to keep it going pop, 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 pop. Otherwise, I think it soon loses its sort of momentum in some ways. I know they did Queen Charlotte to sort of like give it a little bit of an oomph, but I think where it's the series of books and people know the storylines, they just want you to get on with it and show the bits that they like. But anyway, if those of you who have been completely out of the loop on Bridgerton, Bridgerton was a series of 8 books published by an author called Julia Quinn about the 8 siblings in the Bridgerton family. And they were all named alphabetically, so you know how old the child is by what their name begins with. So you've got Anthony, Benedict,
Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca,
Hyacinth and Gregory.
Okay, yeah, yep.
Sorry, Gregory and Hyacinth. G8.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've all got their own books, and each series is supposed to be about each of the siblings. They have their own book, they have their own series, allegedly. I don't know whether Netflix will run with the whole 8 books or not. Anyway, this is book 5, but it's actually series 3. This is the story of Colin, who is the third child. And it's his.
Yeah, well,
He has been.
nominally it's a story of Colin, but we all know it's the story. It's the story of Penelope. Let's be
It's
honest.
Penelope.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
is
we're
more
here
like
for
the lead
Penelope.
in this. Yeah, Penelope. And Penelope, it's not a spoil because it was revealed in season 1. Penelope has a secret identity. She has the secret identity of being Mrs. Lady Whistledown, who is a
Think a
gossip
Georgian
columnist.
era gossip girl.
Yeah, she's a gossip columnist who, names and shames and sort of dishes all the goss on all the people in polite society. And she has basically lived opposite or very close to the Bridgertons all her life, and she's always had a little bit of a twinkle for Colin. Now, this is the story in which that twinkle becomes a full-blown firework, basically. It sort of just bursts into life. And he begins to
About
notice
damn time.
her in a sort of, he begins to appreciate her. Just as it seems that she's given up on him and starts eyeing up other prospects because she thinks it's never going to happen with Colin. I'm going to sort of, look elsewhere. So she has a bit of a makeover, changes her clothes, changes her hair, tries to be a bit more out there and try to attract other suitors. So it's like, the drill. This is a
Yeah, no, I mean that's
the drill.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was like, yeah. So a rom-com is rom-comming because that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I have to be honest, I saw the first season of Bridgerton, didn't watch the second season. I watched it over my wife's shoulder as she was watching it, and essentially from the beginning, you've been like, Colin, Penelope, will you two idiots just stop being idiots and get together? We know it's gonna happen. Just do it.
Just get on with it. And Colin's had a bit of a makeover. He's been away on his grand tour and he's come back a little bit buff. I think a little bit lechy because every now and then you see him always surrounded by ladies, and he's always a bit like, turning on the charm, a bit creepy. So it's like turning on the charm is a bit like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, it's got a bit icky.
Well, the thing about it is like, oh. But it is presented as that was what a ladies' man was back, or that's what a man was supposed to do. A man was supposed to get to the point where he was lechy, and when he was lechy, that seemed to be when he became an eligible bachelor.
Yeah, so he did his grand tour. He became educated, and part of that education was, with the prostitutes of Europe. But, they don't talk about syphilis in romantic novels, so we're not going to mention it.
There is no syphilis in Bridgerton. No syphilis in Bridgerton.
Which is a bit of a shame. I think they've missed a trick there. But
I know series 4 or series 3 part 2, bit of syphilis.
Yeah, just to add a bit of element of sort of peril into the situation. But anyway, so we know the drill. So what can we say about Bridgerton part 1? Season 3, part 1. Some of it's Bridgerton. It's recognisable as Bridgerton. I mean, the music is like contemporary music played with the strings. Yeah. So in the certain scenes, you get songs that I don't recognise, but I recognise them as being, that's probably a pop song. I don't know it, but I'm sure other people who are a bit more more hip than I am would probably recognise it. And then it's got the usual moments of sort of amorousness that's various different angles. The clothes are completely out there. They have like a nod towards the Regency, but not really. The hairstyles, they have like a nod towards sort of costume drama world, but not really recognisable as historical.
I think Queen Charlotte's wigs remain gravity defying.
Yeah, they're just extraordinary, aren't they? So it's the usual things, the things that frustrate you because you're thinking.
They quite dated her wigs.
Yeah, they're of the Georgian era, so they are like from 50 years before, from her youth. Basically, that's what they're implying. So yeah, what can you say? It's Bridgerton, so it was fun, but to me, it's beginning to be a bit samey. It's beginning to feel a bit predictable. It's beginning to feel a bit like, I don't know. For me, I thought they lacked a little bit of chemistry. in some ways, she had her other suitor, but even though they made a point of like setting him up as being an attractive prospect and then like shooting him down, I still think she had more chemistry with him than she did with Colin. And they have there is a bit of an incident, shall we say, of a romantic nature. I was a bit like, ooh, I would. It just, it was just, to me, it was just like, oh, it's in the book, but I'm just like, oh no.
It's the scene that people have been talking about. Is the one that has been getting all the traction online. I'm currently looking at a thumbnail on YouTube that just sort of says carriage scene.
Yes, the carriage scene. So
the carriage scene.
Because you're always conscious that these sort of things, you have they're about 2 feet away. There are 2 men sat there driving this carriage, and it's all that's between you and them is a curtain and a bit of plywood, basically thin wood.
I've always thought this about when you have a film scene that happens in the back of a cab and 2 people start getting amorous in the back of a cab. I'm like,
yeah.
There's somebody who can see everything that you're doing.
There's someone right there. So that sort of scene, I'm a bit like, there's 2 people right, because we've just seen them when you got in the carriage. They're right there, literally above your head.
And they're not deaf or stupid.
No. So, so to me, it's never good. I think, for me, Bridgerton, I like it. It's one of those things, I like it, but also I get a bit fed up with it. So I watched it. For me, it's never going to be more than a 3 anyway. But for me, I'd call it a 3- this time. I watched it more for like, I'm going to watch it. Not that I really thought, yes. I really enjoyed the first season more than I thought I would. It was sort of like a guilty pleasure. The second season, not too bad. This one, I was just like, I tolerated it more than really liked it. So I think in some ways it's almost a 2 for me, but I'll give it a -3, a 3-. Just because I think, there are fun elements to it.
I mean, Sharon, you've just defined Bridgerton. Guilty pleasure. That is Bridgerton all over. Guilty pleasure. All right.
I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I think that's spot on where I feel I'm watching it because I kind of thought I ought to watch it, rather than because I thought, oh yay, isn't it amazing? There's a new series out. I was like, well, better do this.
I think what Bridgerton is now. Bridgerton is actually a comfort watch. Bridgerton is a comfort watch. It's a cozy watch that just happens to have nudity in it sometimes. So because the storylines, or even look at it, essentially every season of Bridgerton is a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy with all of the machinations and all of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like all of the stop points, all the bit stops of a romantic comedy. There will be a misunderstanding. There will be a getting together. There will be a mad dash to the airport, or whatever the equivalent of an airport is. There will be a final declaration of love that will lead to what looks like it might be a happily ever after. And then those people will disappear for the next season and just be in the background while you get into the next Bridgerton. But one thing I will say with this is because, 2 things I will say. Number 1, Luke Newton, who plays Colin Bridgerton. Does anybody else think that he looks like a young Pierce Brosnan?
Yes.
Because
but now you mention it, yes, it does fit. Yeah.
Ever since I've seen him in season 1, I've thought, oh my God, I actually had to Google to see whether he was Pierce Brosnan's son, because I think he looks like a young Pierce Brosnan. When he gets to his 40s, they might be thinking maybe we should just cast him as Bond, or something like that. Because
he looks like he's been in other things that he hasn't. He's got a face that's very familiar as well.
Yes, he's got Pierce Brosnan's face. That's why. And so he's got Pierce Brosnan's face. Of course, he looks like he's been in other things.
He's stolen Pierce Brosnan's face. Damn it!
Yes.
Feeling.
Yes, it's like Helen Hunt and Lily Sobieski, who looked like in the 90s.
Yes.
Oh my word, that was uncanny. But okay, so that was number 1. Number 2 is because I've been worried about I know that they said that season 3 in Bridgerton was going to be a double header where they're going to tackle 2 love stories at once. And I was thinking, yeah, they need to get on it because they need to do a Penelope and they need to do an Eloise love story quickly, because those 2 characters are supposed to be teenagers. They're supposed to be teenagers, and both Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, and Claudia Jessie, who plays Eloise, when they started in Bridgerton season 1 were in their 30s.
Yeah.
And they have done an amazing job in, I think, both in the performances, number one, I think performances, but also the hair, the makeup, the costumes. Yeah, the costumes and everything like that, to still make them believable as teenagers or as people on the cusp of womanhood, shall we say. Because I watched a bit of it and I was like, ooh, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. Claudia Jessie is like, it still kind of works. But if they drag that out much longer, they're going to have to start putting some time jumps in there and be like, oh, she was a spinster until she was in her late 20s or something like that. But But the main headline for me is I'm really impressed, both with their performances and with the hair, the makeup, everything that comes together to make them just about believable as people on the cusp of womanhood when they are both in their 30s. And I think that's brilliant. And I would watch at the moment pretty much anything that Nicola Coughlan is in because I think she's amazing. I think she's brilliant as Penelope Featherington. I think she is great, and I think she is the main reason to watch this. And also to keep marveling and going, how the heck did they de-age Pierce Brosnan to be in this thing? Are my things. So anyway, I think you said three minus for Bridgerton season 3 part 1.
Yes.
Netflix, sort it out. I know it probably has to do with the strikes and you didn't really have much to do, but sort it out. All right, cool. And now we're going to go back to cinema and have a little quick feedback of what Holly thought about The Fall Guy. So we already explained what The Fall Guy is on a previous show. If you want to do that, go back 2 weeks. Go back 2 weeks from listening to this on episode 230 to see what we thought of The Fall. Actually, the last two shows we've spoken about The Fall Guy.
Yeah, because we've all watched it staggered over the last 3 weeks.
And now hear what we all think about it.
And now for the third week, we talk about The Fall Guy. So
I haven't made the last 2 weeks, so I don't know what you guys thought about it. So you're going to have to then tell me whether or not you agree with me as I go.
So no need for a summary of what the film's about. Just what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a laugh out loud, funny film. There were bits where I genuinely, snorted with laughter.
Yeah,
it was very enjoyable. Was it brilliant and life-changing? No. Is it the best film I've ever seen? No. Does it need to be? It really doesn't, because it made me happy. I watched it and thought, this is delightful twaddle. Somewhat predictable, and that's all right. I am perfectly happy with the predictability and the silliness, and, some of it you'd already seen from the trailers, and that was fine too. And I look forward to watching it on a Sunday afternoon with a cup of tea when it's out on streaming.
And how many stars would you give it?
I will give it a 3.
Yeah, we were 3.
A solid middle of the road 3.
Okay. So, pretty much what we all said.
Lot of fun.
I think that the headline is, as Sharon says with The Fall Guy, it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I think I texted you guys because I was the first to see it.
Yes,
and I
saw it first.
I texted you guys and said, this is a lot of fun. The Fall Guy is a lot of fun. And that's the headline. Don't think about the plot. Don't think about the plot.
There's some fantastic one-liners in it.
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me now remember what any of them were, but I properly snorted with laughter.
Yeah, but the thing is that with the one-liners in The Fall Guys, they don't work outside of the context of the film.
No. They were just perfectly done for what they were.
Yeah, and I asked Sharon this last week. What did you think about? Don't say who it is. What did you think about the cameo at the end of right at the end of the film? There's a pretty big star nowadays who shows up in the film that you don't know is in the film. Right?
Loved it. Superb, absolutely superb.
Yeah, no, I really like The Fall Guy. And I think it's one of those films that I think is not doing that well in cinemas at the moment, but it has such rewatch value. Like, as you said, when it comes on TV, I think it's going to do quite well because it's the kind of thing you can watch over and over again.
Yeah, it's proper Sunday afternoon, rainy day, giant cup of tea, and falling back into silly.
All right, cool. Good stuff. Right, and so that is, I think I gave it a 4. Sharon, Sharon gave it a 3+, and you gave it a 3. So
I think I'll go 3+. So
okay, cool. Okay, 3+. So good, because I was about to say that it's dropping each week. So this is going to be the last time we talk about the Fall Guy before the scales fall from our eyes, and in 6 weeks' time we're like, oh my god, it's the death of cinema.
You never know. When I watch it again, I may up it to a 5. Though this is me. So
No, but I think Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling are just brilliant at it. I think they really, really are just brilliant at it. All right, cool. So now we go back to Netflix and Friends, and we're going to talk about 8 for Silver. Yeah, another thing I have never heard of, but both of you have watched. So Sharon, tell us about 8 for Silver.
Yeah, it's like a sort of gothic horror type film. Set. It starts off in the trenches in the First World War, and a wounded French soldier in the trenches is brought into a casualty clearing station, and they're poking about removing shrapnel from him, and they remove a silver bullet from his abdomen, and they say that's not a German bullet, and then it flashes back 30 years to when he was a youth, and there was some uncanny events that went on in his village. He grew up the son of the chateau, wealthy family, him and his sister, his parents, and his father one day with a group of local landowners and the clergy in the French provincial town have a falling out with a group of gypsies, and these gypsies and they did some unspeakable things to these sort of Roma people, these sort of gypsy people, and they put a curse on the people, and then unpleasant things started to happen. People started to have dreams, and those dreams became reality, and the reality was rather bitey and not very nice. And then everything went a bit mad, but it had legs in the film. The whatever it was in the film, and yeah, it had pace. It's obviously made on a sort of bit of a budget, but that was quite fun for all that, the way they sort of work with what they've got.
Okay.
So anything where the uncanny is in there, the less you see in some ways, the better. And so you get glimpses of unpleasantness at the beginning, and then you don't get to sort of snow beast type close up until much later on. But so no, I thought for what it was quite imaginative. It's quite fun. Had it sort of genuinely sort of eerie moments where I was thinking, oh, this is quite eerie. Which I thought to me it was sort of fun for what it was. I mean, it's not, I guess it's not groundbreaking, but I like to see some of those sort of like quirky horror. Do you remember during lockdown when I went to see a film called The Boys from County How, which was an Irish take on the vampire legend, and I thought that was a lot of fun, even though I was the only person in the cinema at the time, and I don't think it's ever been heard of since. And this is that sort of film. It's a creature feature of the sort of universal type, where they use atmosphere and lighting and mood to create that feeling of sort of peril and tension. So no, I thought it was for what it was. I enjoyed it. What did you think, Holly?
Oh, first of all, where did you guys watch this? Where was this on?
It was on Netflix.
Okay.
Very much thought the same. I thought it was well done. I liked the casting. It was a good cast.
Yes.
It was quite beautiful in many ways. Good use of light. Yeah, wonderfully eerie. And yeah, I liked the fact that you didn't see too much. And it wasn't entirely predictable either, which such things can be. So I didn't predict all of the twists and turns and ups and downs of it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, there's some twisty elements to it, and you're thinking, oh yeah, that's an interesting take on that sort of legend. So no, I thought the only thing I was slightly puzzled by, because everyone had noticeably English accents, either upper class or regional or provincial, and then they kept saying, oh, this is Molière, and Molière speaks like a Yorkshireman or something, and then this is Laurent, and Laurent has like a upper class English accent. I'm thinking, are they French?
I think some of them were possibly meant to be English as well, so that's where it got.
Yes, and then one of the characters, his title is pathologist in it, but he's like McBride. So I'm thinking, who are you and where are you from?
Yes. Yeah, I kind of feel like to sit down afterwards, and I think I just stopped thinking about where anybody was from and just rolled with it because the accents made no sense.
Oh, this film also goes by the title The Cursed.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, because that I'd heard of. Because I was trying to think, Eight for Silver. How did you guys come across this? How did both of you watch it? Because I'd never heard of it, but I've heard of the title The Cursed. Didn't watch it, obviously. But yeah, I didn't realize, for some reason it has two titles.
I think it's been around for a couple of days, so not a couple of days, a couple of years possibly.
Yeah, because I watched it a few months back, I
Yeah,
think.
it's been on my Netflix. It hovers around, it appears and then it disappears and it comes back again saying, oh, you might want to watch this. And
Yeah.
this time I sort of gave in and watched it.
It's like, you might want to watch this. How about now? How about now?
Yeah.
How about now?
We're not going to give up. So I liked it. I would say I'd give it a 3+ because I liked it.
Okay, cool. And Holly?
3+.
All right, cool. 3+. It's just that kind of 3+ week. All
Is
right.
Last week. Max is indifferent. He wasn't terribly fussed. He slept through it.
He's a cat. Of course he's indifferent. All of this is totally beneath him.
He did really like the live action Lion King. They both sat and watched it intently, stared at the screen. And then when I put it on from them again, because I thought, oh, they liked it. Let's try this again. No interest the second time round.
Yep, because by that time they were above it. The first time it was inspirational and aspirational. They were thinking that could be me. Second time they were like, nope, have it. Nope, I'm done with it.
They liked Deep Blue Sea. Callie liked Deep Blue Sea the first time round as well. She likes a shark film. She taps the screen.
Oh, no. That's some good taste. Deep Blue Sea.
She is a considered cat when she wants to pay attention to things. What do you say? You're not so sure about shark films, are you, Max? No, but we try different film types to see and genres to see if they have any interest.
Okay. So now we are gonna go back. We're gonna go back to cinema, and we are gonna get Holly's report back on Back to Black. And this is obviously we've spoken about it a couple of weeks ago. Sharon spoke about it a couple of.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh no, it was Sean. Sean spoke about it. I know whoever it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Spoke about.
Oh, not you.
It just was 100% not me. A couple of weeks ago, because I made my aversion to music biopics clear. I'm like, give me a documentary any day. So we already know
I saw
what
the
it's
Bob
about.
Marley one, and after that I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to have to sort of bow out of the music biopics for a little while now.
Yes.
That was me maxed out.
Join me on the documentary side. Join me, Sharon. and okay, so obviously we spoke about it. Holly, same thing. Back to Black. What did you think?
Beautifully done. Well acted. Left me a little bit cold, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like what there was in the film was put into the film wasn't really enough to make a whole film, which is sad because her life is absolutely enough to probably make 5 films, because she was a genuinely very interesting person with many more facets than came across in the film. I do wonder if I have never quite got over my antipathy towards Sam Taylor, what's-her-face?
Johnson, yep.
So I don't know if I don't especially like her style, or if she just, her connection with something irritates me. But I found her personal life a little bit bizarre, and I don't like to judge people, but it was very odd.
Okay, so wait, do you think, and this is impossible to know, but do you think that if you had not known this was a Sam Taylor Johnson movie, you would have had a better time with it?
No.
All right.
No, I didn't dislike it. It was a lovely film. She's what's her name who plays Amy?
Marisa Abela.
Wonderful singing, and she did, and it was her singing, and she was really very impressive. I mean, it really captured some things, but yeah, it left me a little bit cold, which I was sad about, but also not entirely surprised about either.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd give it a 3, and I'd give it a middle of the road 3, and say it's a beautiful film, but I think I would rather go back and watch the documentary.
Yeah, 100%. I mean that is me at the moment. I'm like, look, if you're going to make do something on a music person, give me a documentary. any day of the week. The biopics, I don't know why, but it's something like what you said. Like, I don't know why, but in a 90-minute documentary, they seem to be able to pack more incident and nuance and story and color in than they do in a 90-minute biopic, which always follow the same pattern.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were kinder to her father and her ex-husband than they might have been.
Then apparently they are in the documentary, yeah.
And they were in the film. They were, yeah. It was not as.
Oh no! In the documentary, both those characters do not come off well. Like
Yes.
her father has a real issue with the documentary, so much so that he went and made his own documentary about what actually happened.
Yes, I can see that happening. It also missed out stuff about her charity work, which you could have put in that, which I hadn't known about before. But she did a huge amount with charities. She was incredibly generous donator to charities. It never mentions it.
But yeah,
Just
music.
think that made her a more complex person than somebody who was a really good singer and then, drank a
Has
lot,
issues.
drunk,
Yeah.
and then, went
Yeah,
through the usual, someone who drinks a lot and takes drugs, and then she died, and it was very sad, and she was 27, and that's awful. But that is broadly speaking the film that I've just covered
Yeah.
off, and that's
yeah.
and it
Music.
should be more. So yeah, I vote documentary. I'm team documentary.
Yes, come join me. Join me.
What did Sean
Right.
say? I can't remember.
What?
What did Sean say?
Sean gave it a 3. Sean gave
So
it a 3.
probably felt much the same.
Yeah. Sort of like he said, well, talking about he didn't know much about maybe Winehouse. He didn't really follow her in real life or anything like that. So I think he found a little bit of it interesting. He liked Jack O'Connell's performance as Blake Fielder Civil or whatever his
He
name
did
is.
it very well.
Yeah, and he liked he obviously not knowing that much about Amy Winehouse, he couldn't say much about Mary Bella's portrayal of her. But I think Sean's thing with Jack O'Connell is Jack O'Connell is in one of Sean's favorite films,
In
71. Yes, and so I think every time Jack O'Connell shows up in anything, Sean's immediately like, "Oh my God, it's the guy from 71. I must pay attention." This has just gotten an extra star from me. Right, so let us go back to streaming and stuff. And I am going to change what I was going to say. I said a constellation. I'm going to change it because I want to talk about Sugar. This is on Apple TV Plus, and it is a TV show called Sugar, starring Colin Farrell, no less, talking about big film stars doing
I've
stuff
seen
on
the
TV.
banner for it.
Yes. And now Sugar is one of these shows that started off and hasn't really, it's just sort of like, yeah, whatever. And then something happens in, let's see, there's 7 episodes and, it's 8 episodes, I think episode 6, essentially 2 episodes from the end. Something happens that made everybody go, what? But the basic premise of Sugar is that Colin Farrell is when you meet him, he's a private eye. So he's a private eye in Hollywood, and he specializes in finding missing people. So the prologue is it's set in Japan. It's in black and white. It's him trying to find a missing person who is the son of somebody, ends up being the son of like somebody in the Yakuza, and it's all about how he operates and how he goes about trying to find this person. Then he finds that person, flies back to LA, and then you find out that he has a handler played by Kirby, an actress who used to be called Kirby Howell Baptiste, but has decided to go just by the name Kirby. I'm still trying to find out exactly why. There's been no explanation for that. It doesn't seem to be like a gender identification thing or anything like that. It just seems that she just decided, I want to be called Kirby. So you meet up with her. You find out he meets up with James Cromwell, who is a Hollywood movie producer whose granddaughter is missing, and he says, I want you to go find my granddaughter. And you find out that there's all this. So he decides to do it, but his handler is like, no, you're supposed to take a rest. You're not supposed to do this thing. There's something going on with his hand where he seems to seize up every now and then. And she's like, you're supposed to take a rest. You're not supposed to take any more cases. And she keeps seeming trying to dissuade him from taking this case. And he's like, no, I want to take this case because he saw the picture, and the picture reminds him of his sister, and because he wants to find this woman, and then he'll take a rest. And it carries on from there in a very Hollywood gumshoe vein. And it is the character of Sugar, played by Colin Farrell, John Sugar. He is obsessed with movies. He calls it an obsession. So he's always referring, and they keep having all these. I think Sharon, you and Sean would love this because it keeps having all these golden age of Hollywood snippets and showing all these clips from all these different films, and you can go, ooh, that's Humphrey Bogart. Ooh, and I think you would have a field day trying to spot all the different films that they put clips in it from, because some of them I'm like, I don't know what film that is, but I can tell you that is. That's Double Indemnity. I knew that one. it's like, oh, hang on a second, that's Robert Mitchum in that film where with the love and hate thing with the hands, the Night of the Hunter, yeah. They just keep having that, and it's like a thing because he is in that vein of a classic film noir detective going through the seedy underbelly of Hollywood, trying to find out what happened to this girl. So it's like, and it's a very effective story for that. But after a while, you're kind of like, well, it's just that story again. And okay, cool, I'm going to enjoy it. And then episode 5 or 6 happens. And at the end of episode 5 or 6, something happens and you're like, what? and it immediately changes the story that you're watching. And I still haven't decided whether it changes it in a good way or in a bad way, because there is a world in which I see what they did in that episode. There's a world in which I see what they did in the episode, and I immediately think, okay, they ran out of ideas. They ran out of ideas. And let me put it this way: what happens in that episode is so out there that I could sit down here with you and try and guess what happens, and I don't think you could. I don't think you could guess what happens when it goes like, this is a private eye. He's trying to find this woman, and then this happens. I don't think you could guess it. I really, really don't think you could.
Okay.
I really don't think you can guess it. It will be interesting to see, and it ends in such a way that the fact that it happens that end to the end of the season means that it totally changes what kind of show it is, and it's almost kind of like, oh, well, come back in season 2 to see how this develops, because the thing I always complain about is when they don't wrap up a story in one season and they just say come back and see. This does wrap up the story, but it gives you a totally different, way out mad story of what's going to happen in season 2 if they get to do a season 2. So I am probably going to go with a high 3 with this. The main reason is because I cannot decide if what happens at the end of that episode, two episodes from the end, I can't decide whether it's a good storytelling left field decision, or if it's just a lazy run out of ideas, let's chuck this in. I can't decide. I really can't decide. So for me, it's going to be a 3 plus for Sugar. But I would say if you have Apple TV Plus, watch it. And Sharon, I would be interested to see what you think.
Yeah, I'll have to look that out.
I'm interested to see what you think. I think, and see how many of those old films you could spot, and especially what you think about the incident in episode whatever it is. Let me see, Sugar, Apple TV. How many episodes? I can't tell me. Anyway, it's 2 episodes from the end. However many episodes is 2 episodes from the end. Right, cool. So that is it for this week, and all there's left to ask is, who do you think has won this week?
Well, I'm trying to think. Have we had anything other than a 3 today?
I think
We've
we're
had a few 3 pluses and a 3 minuses.
I think we're basically on a tie.
Yeah, I think maybe cinema might have edged it because I gave one a 3 minus, and the others have been either 3s or 3 pluses. So I think maybe cinema might have just edged it.
If we take our pluses into account, Netflix has just edged it. But everything has been a 3. It's been a 3 kind of week. We haven't been blown away, but we haven't been disappointed. So it's I'm gonna call this a tie. Well done, cinema. Well done, Netflix. You fought well. And then we next week we shall see, because hopefully by that time we will have seen Furiosa, a Mad Max
Furiosa.
story. Yes, I know Sean's already itching to get on because he saw it in Thailand. He's been sending us stuff on WhatsApp going, oh my god. And so we will see because I know actually I never found out, Holly, what you thought about Mad Max Fury Road.
I think I quite liked it, but I wasn't blown away, if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
All right, okay, cool. So that's because we had Sean who was blown away, Sharon who liked it, me who doesn't like it, and it's one of those things like we always talk about maybe doing like a show where we say one film that everybody else loves that you don't like, and the top of the list would be Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road for me, that where everybody raves about it, and I feel like some sort of weird, I'm like, what am I not seeing?
What did I miss? Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I like elements of it, but it isn't a Mad Max film. So when you go into expecting it to be Mad Max, it's not Mad Max. It's more about Furiosa, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
And Mad Max.
It's more about the women.
Hardy
Yeah.
is just like, he's just there. So it doesn't really feel like a Mad Max film. So I remember liking it for its sort of like spectacle, but it's not a Mad Max film.
I also don't remember much of it.
That's because it has no story. But sorry, anyway.
Well, I think indeed that it doesn't have much of a story. So
we will save that for when we talk about
save it for the
next. Yeah, a Mad Max saga, or Mad Max story, whatever it's called. So until that time, okay. Well, what I would say is a couple of things. If you have listened this far, thank you very much. And if you do like us, please do go and give us reviews on Spotify, on Apple Music. That would help. Get in touch with us on YouTube. Tell us what you think about our reviews. Tell us what you think about the shows. Just put something on there. Every single piece of engagement is helpful. And something that I have never mentioned before is something called Tip Jar. So in the show notes, in the descriptions of this, there'll be something called Tip Jar. If you think that what we've said has been reasonably diverting and you think, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to like think of us as buskers. We are buskers. We are audio buskers. We've done something. We are sat at the side of the thing. Chuck a coin to your witcher, chuck a coin in our tin, and there's a thing called Tip Jar in the notes where you can just go in there and you can give us something. And trust me, if you give 50p, we will be over the moon. Because we will be like, oh my God, what we do is worth something to somebody somewhere, probably in Russia. Yes. Please do that. But until that time, until next week, when hopefully we will see Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Right on time.